Welcome along, guys. Well, welcome to a wet and noisy Cotswolds, to Caffeine and Machine for the launch of the new Suzuki Katana 1000. Hopefully it's going to dry up a bit later on, otherwise we'll only be testing out the wet weather ability of the bike. But it's a fantastic chance to actually test this bike out, see what it's like, and go for a first ride. Where's my waterproofs? Right, let's fire her up. Quite a nice little, it's actually the same clocks or similar clocks as what's on my GSXR. Obviously a different layout, different rev counter layout. A very familiar sight for me, being a GSXR rider. Well, first things first, it's actually a very, very comfortable bike to ride. Really wide seat, really comfortable seat. Peg bar position is set for comfort. Obviously the original Katana, which I will talk a bit about, had clip-ons. They've decided for comfort purposes to put high risers. Why did I not wear my waterproofs? So the original Katana, you can't review the Katana without talking about the original. So the original Katana came out in 1980, was an absolute massive hit for Suzuki. It was one of the few bikes Suzuki's actually taken the styling outside of Japan, and it was designed by a European design house, which is why it's so different to any of the other bikes back in the era. With all the other manufacturers bringing out these retro bikes, it seemed only right that Suzuki brought out a bike of their own modern retro. So I guess that the big competitors to this are like the CB1000R, which I borrowed. I spent 10 days on the CB1000R, I know that bike quite well. Kawasaki Z900RS, of course, is a retro. Other bikes like that, every manufacturer has their own modern retro. Specs of this bike, about 150 brake horsepower, 150 PS, which I think is slightly more than the brake horsepower, so say about 145 brake horsepower, 108 newton meters of torque, 215 kilos wet. So for this sort of big naked, that's about average. That's actually pretty good for big 1000cc naked. They're all about that. The Tuono's about that. The CB1000's about that. So that's in the right spot for weight. I mean, as this is based on the GSXR 1000, you know, it's got the same electronics package of that, but as that bike. It's a 3-stage traction control, ABS. I'm not sure it's even got different power modes. I don't think it has different power modes. It could have an A and a B power mode. I'll have a look in a minute when I can take my eyes off the road. Oh, it sounds lovely. A real snarl to it. A load of induction roar, which is nice. And a real snarly engine. Well, I think it's an engine note. Not so much exhaust note, it's an engine note. Gearbox is really nice. Really precise, feels tight. I know it's a new bike, I don't know how many miles this thing's got, 1,000 miles. But the gearbox feels lovely and tight, very precise. I don't think you'd ever find any false neutrals on this box. First impressions after riding it for 20 minutes, even in these conditions, I can tell it's a very nice, fun bike. We haven't opened it up yet. I can't wait to see how she goes at the top end. But it's got a good amount of torque for a straight 4 engine. It's definitely got more torque than the CB1000. It's nice to think you've got traction control and a bit of ABS when you're out in conditions like this. pushing on down lanes you don't know. Never have electronic aids been so appealing. Traction level 3, please. It's definitely a bit of a Marmite one on the looks. I'm a child of the 80s, so I actually like the styling of this. I think it's decent. I think the 80s is obviously a great era. All the other retro bikes are all really 70s inspired with round headlights. This is 80s. This is when things were square. Little details on it. You've got the Katana on the top mount there. Obviously the dash, let's put the dash on so we have a decent look at the dash. So it's basically the GSXR dash, little Katana logos, but they've got this sort of round circular type rev counter, which is different to GSXR. The whole of that layout is different to the GSXR. Fuel gauge, you've got trip, you've got distance till empty, all the good stuff you want. LED headlights, little LED running lights on the side there as well, which are nice. What I would really like to have seen is these indicators integrated into these little running lights. I think that would have really tidied up the front end. It's got a great road presence. You see it coming down the road, it actually looks very, very nice from the front and very, very different from anything else out there. I think this is the thing with this bike. It's so different from anything else out there. It's not run-of-the-mill by any stretch of the imagination. The GSXS always suffered from a little bit of a snatchy throttle. Now Suzuki have tried to address this by changing the profile of the throttle tube. So they haven't changed the mapping, but they've changed the way the throttle picks up. And actually it seems to be working pretty well. I'm not noticing any sort of snatchiness on this bike, which is nice, because there's always a bit of a criticism with the GSXS, but there seems to be, so far anyway, it seems to be addressed now. Woohoo! The controls are all very nice, clutch is very nice, gearbox is beautiful. It's the usual Suzuki mechanical gorgeousness, which I always talk about. It's so easy to ride, everything just works, the gearboxes are just lovely. You know, it's all that as you would expect. Comfort wise, it's really comfortable. The seat is very wide and very comfortable. Been on this about, I must be coming up for a good hour now. I mean, I feel as fresh as when I got on the bike. And I normally suffer with nakeds because you're so upright, you've got all the weight on your backside. But this seat is actually very, very comfortable and very wide, so it spreads that load nicely. There's very little vibes from the engine. Straight 4 engines can quite often be vibey. Hardly anything through the bars, hardly anything through the footrests. Oh, I just can't quite get it up to the upper rev ranges. Be nice if it had a quick shifter. I mean, it would be lovely if they'd. I think this is a little bit of a wasted opportunity with this bike. I think Suzuki really could have used the new GSXR as the baseline and the donor for this bike. Imagine this bike with the new IMU, the new GSXR electronics package, the traction control, and you know, even if you stick with this engine, but just the electronics from the new GSXR are so much better than these more basic system from the GSXS. So I do think it's a little bit of a shame that they didn't take this opportunity for this bike to base it on the new GSXR, a naked version of the new GSXR. That would have been incredible. Give it some beats. Whoa! Yep, it's got that scream. That banshee howl when you get up above 8,000 revs. It's a quick bike. I reckon smaller front sprocket, just to liven it up a little bit, and it'll be much more punchy. But yeah, I like that. I like it. The target audience for this bike is older gentlemen, a bit like myself, people who remember the original Katana and are really into these retro bikes. And of course it's a bit of the younger generation, because it's a very, very unique bike. I mean, you don't see many bikes like this. If you want something a bit different, I love the fact that it's styled after an 80s classic. Not your normal retro 70s, your round headlighted, completely naked affairs. This is your 80s, when everything was square. People are into sort of boxy shapes. And I think with that sort of 80s resurgence at the moment, I think the styling of this, it is actually on point, and it's definitely a bike which is much, much nicer in the flesh than what it looks in photos. So race, yeah? And I've got this in traction level 3, which is the highest level of intervention. I've not really noticed it doing a great deal, even after giving it great copious handfuls. I think it's got a lot of mechanical grip. Come on, Rich. Let's be having you. Get your foot down. Trust those Dunlops. It'd be nice just to have a little bit more torque, maybe. A little bit better pickup, a bit stronger at the bottom. That's where I think the gearing change would really help it. Smaller front sprocket, just to give it a bit more punch. That'd be the first change I'd make if I were to buy one of these. And a throaty exhaust, but the sound from that airbox and that engine is lovely. The handling, and even on these wet roads, I can tell you it's a much better setup bike than the CV1000. It's not wallowing, it's not complaining as I'm trying to put it into corners. It seems really responsive, lots of feedback. Suzuki can just do this. Suzuki's are riders' bikes. There's no question about that. Suzuki's bikes are riders' bikes. They're for people who like the thrill of motorcycling, people who want to go quickly on a budget. I think that's what it's about. That is the ethos of Suzuki, really. I don't think I've ridden a Suzuki which doesn't handle. I don't think I have. The SV650X, what a great fun handling bike that is. Even the V-Stroms, fantastic handling bikes. Yeah, I don't think I can think of a Suzuki which I've ridden which hasn't handled. Even though some of their ranges are budget and don't have, like the SV650 for example, you know, that doesn't really have any adjustable suspension, but they've got it set up perfectly. Oh, there we go, into a bit of twisties. We've got a slight dry line-ish forming. Maybe. It's a testament to a bike that you can come out in the wet weather like this and still have fun, go quickly and enjoy yourself. It's a testament to how good the suspension is, the brakes, the confidence, you know, the power delivery, that you can come and do that on these wet, slippery, cold roads and you can still have an absolute scream and enjoy yourself. Naughty! You got a mucky one, John. You got a mucky one. Steering lock is okay. It's not fantastic. It's not bad. Not as good as a Super Duke. Better than a Tuono. The comfort on the bike is unbelievable. I thought this had the optional seat on it, but this hasn't. This is just a standard seat, which is already filled with like a gel material. It's really comfortable. I think this is a naked I could actually spend all day in the saddle on. Engine performance is brilliant. You don't need more than this. 150 brake horsepower on the road is more than enough for anyone. I mean, they have tuned this for torque, but it still delivers a mental amount of top end. course this has got a 3-year warranty as well. All Suzuki's 3-year warranty. I think that's something BMW's only just brought in, and I don't think there's any other manufacturer which will offer you 3 years warranty, which is just a testament to how well put together these bikes are. Well, there we go. It's a real shame we're almost back now. It's a real shame we haven't had the chance to test this out properly in the dry, but the wet weather handling performance has been really impressive, so I can only imagine how nice it would be in the dry to really push it on. But even in the wet, it's incredible fun, which, as I mentioned already, I mean, that's a testament to how good the bike is, how much fun the bike is. If you can come out, ride quickly and have confidence when it's wet, that just goes to show how fundamentally good the bike is and how well set up it is. It seems to have a huge amount of mechanical grip. I haven't really noticed the traction control having to interfere too much, and it's a powerful bike, so it's got a lot of natural mechanical grip, handles extremely well, the suspension is set up absolutely perfect for me. They've sorted out the snatchy throttle, which is always a bugbear. This is a great bike, this is a great package. If you like the looks of this bike, it's a no-brainer. Get one. It rides amazing. It's lovely to ride. It's lovely riding slow, cruising. It's great when you want to push on. It's extremely comfortable. It's the most comfortable naked I've tried. If you like the looks of it, you can't go wrong with it. I like the looks of it. I'm very tempted by it. There we go, guys. I'm hoping, well, I will borrow one of these a bit later on, either from Suzuki for a couple of weeks to try in the dry, or Wheels Motorcycles, because Wheels Motorcycles are also a Suzuki dealer. So I might better get my friends at Wheels Motorcycles to drop me one off to try, and then we'll do an in-depth review of it. But first ride in these wet, cold conditions, I'm impressed. See you later, guys.